Okay, everyone, today we are going to be working on the adjusting arm drawing. Adjusting arm, it's kind of like a tool that we use like as almost like a wrench. First step is going to be to find and locate the center points of all the circles. So this drawing is different now from the base plate. We have circles, curves, arcs. We have radius dimensions. We have diameter dimensions. First step, though, we want to locate all the center points. You can see them there in red. We're going to start with this one on the left. To get that one, I went up. Again, I started a half-inch, the half-inch part of the paper on the bottom. So then I went up 1, 2, 3, 4 inches from there. Or if you want to go from the top, it would be 4 inches down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4.5 inches of space here, 4 inches of space there. And then I went in 1.5 inches. Okay, now I'm using my blue pencil. You're going to want to use your black pencil because we're working with construction lines right now. So 1.5 inches in, and I have 4 inches here, 4.5 inches there. To get the rest of the center points, I got to look at my measurements here. So I know that from this center point all the way to the one over here is 7 inches. So let's do that. We can do that one next. So you can take your ruler or you can count, whatever you want to do. So I could do my ruler on the middle here, make a little mark at 7, and then I'm going to draw a little tiny cross mark. Or I could have counted 2. I could have gone, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 1 inch. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 inches. 1, 2, 3. Another way to do it. But since it's kind of a longer measurement, maybe it's quicker just to measure it with your ruler. Now I want to work my way back to the left. And notice how I have two dimensions here. I have a 2 and a 2.5. Don't mix those up. Common mistake I see from students is they mix them up. They make this one 2.5, then they make that one 2. So you're doing the 2-inch one first, then 2.5. So I need to measure back this way now to the left, 2 inches. So that puts me right here. And then 2.5 inches. That puts me right here. So I just kind of make a little mark so I know where it's at. Then I'm going to come back and put a center mark in there. So now I have the 4 center points in the middle. Always double check that they're right. So 7 inches, that's 2 inches, and that's 2.5 inches. And now I'm ready to get the top one and the bottom one. You can see with the example, we're just missing these two right here. So I got to determine what this distance is. All right. Now, it doesn't tell me exactly what it is from the middle to the top. However, I do know that it's 4.5 total. So if I divide 4.5 by 2, it gives me 2.25. So there you go. You want to measure up 2.25 of an inch from the middle up and then the middle down to get those last 2 center points. So I'm going to go, now here it's pretty easy to count. I'm at the middle, 1, 2.25 is right here. 1, 2.25 right there. All right, and again, always double check your work. Good, that's 4.5 inches. It's easy to fix a mistake now at this point before you get any further. Okay, from here, I need to know the difference between a radius and diameter, because you can see kind of the next step, which is step 3. We kind of just did step 1 and 2. Step 3, it says draw construction arcs. So I have some curves, I have some circles. Some of these dimensions are radius, some are diameter. If you have a circle, we'll review this really quick, some geometry. So if I had a circle here, remember that the distance all the way across the circle is the diameter of it. The distance from the middle to the side, or any point along the outside, that's your radius. So your radius is half of your diameter. Remember that. You're also going to need a circle template to complete this next step. The circle templates are all diameter. So every circle you see on here is a diameter. So maybe I'll start with this inside circle here is an inch and actually it's an inch and a half diameter. So I need to take my circle template, line it up on the grid, making sure the center point is in the middle. I got the inch and a half template, and I'm going to draw my circle. Okay, just like that. Now you'll notice the curve is an inch and a quarter radius. So if I were to go here and use the inch and a quarter template and put it on there, something's not right because that's smaller than the one I just did. That can't be because clearly the curve is larger. Again, this is a radius and this is a diameter template. So whenever you have a radius dimension, you need to multiply it by 2. So an inch and a quarter radius is going to equal a 2.5 diameter circle. Again, a radius is half of the diameter. So in order to draw this curve, we need to use the 2.5 inch diameter template. So here's the 2.5 template. I'm going to center it the exact same way that I did the last one. Now for this curve, I don't need the entire circle. So don't draw the whole thing. You're just going to have to erase. We only need the front half. And you start at a tick mark, and then you're going to end at the tick mark. I can also do this circle here. This is also an inch and a quarter radius, so it's the same as that one. So I might as well do that one. That's the one all the way to the left. So I'm going to use that same 2.5 template. Okay. Now the insides. Let's get the insides done. This inside slot here, it's got some curves, and it tells me that it's 1 inch. It's 1 inch all the way across. So if the dimension goes all the way across, that means it's a diameter. So for these two here, I'm going to use the 1 inch template. So I find my 1 inch template. I put the center mark in the middle, line it up with the grid. This one, I need the right half. This one here, I need the left half. Okay. The last step is these top two, or the top one and the bottom one. Those are a 1 inch radius. Okay. 1 inch radius. Again, I need to multiply that by 2. So 1 inch times 2, that's pretty easy. 2 inches. So you're going to use the 2 inch diameter template to draw these two curves. So I take my 2 inch template. I get it centered. Get it lined up. Now for this one, be careful. We only actually need a quarter of it. Okay, so just make sure you're drawing the correct quarter. In this case, the bottom left. And this one down here is going to be, let's see, the upper left. All right, so now we have all of our curves done. So that takes care of step 3. Step 4, we're going to connect the lines. So if you did it right, everything should connect. For instance, this point should connect to that. That should connect. This should connect. And that should connect. So we're going to do that. Again, take your time. Make sure you're doing a good job. Everything looks pretty good. For the corners here, I'm going to block them in. Again, you're doing this very light with a black pencil. And after we block these in, we're going to do the last part, which is the little 45-degree angle. Okay, so those corners are in. Last step, we need to get in the 45-degree angles. And I know it's 45 because it tells me right here in my plans. I also know that it's a 1/2 inch over from the corner. So 45 degrees and then a 1/2 inch over. So you're going to need your 45-degree triangle. Make sure you have the correct triangle. This is the 45. And again, I know it's a 1/2 inch over. So I'm going to do this. That's pretty easy to count. 2 little grids. Get it lined up. Make sure it's straight on the bottom. If it's crooked, it's no longer 45. That looks pretty good. I'm straight on the bottom. I got it a 1/2 inch over. Draw this. I'll flip it this way to do the bottom. Good. I'm straight on the bottom. I'm a 1/2 inch over. Now let's just clean it up a little bit. I'm going to use my eraser shield so I don't screw up the good part of the project. I'm going to take my eraser shield, cover up the good part of the line, right there. Now I'm going to erase the corner that I no longer need, protecting the good part of the drawing. If you try to erase this without the shield, you're more than likely going to screw up some of the good stuff. Same thing down here. Use the eraser shield, cover up the good part of the drawing, and then erase the part you don't need. The last step of this would be now to go over in the gold pencil. And then in the next video, I will show you how to dimension this.